Alright guys, welcome back to another video, another 6.5 Creedmoor video. We are finishing up the 142 grain SMKs. We have already done our powder test. Now we're moving on to the seating depth test. Honestly, I've looked over that powder test chart there for quite a while, several different times. And there was many different spots I could pick in that one. That one was pretty unique, because most of the time when I do a load development, powder test and all that, there's usually a clear winner, if not one, maybe two. I could have picked, in this last one, I could have picked several different spots. So I did end up picking two. I usually just stick with one. Usually go with the best one and then do a seating depth test there. One commenter noticed 40.4, and I agree with him that I was going to do 40.6, but that's right at the top end. So no, sorry, not top end, but there was a nice node or accurate spot between 40.3 and 40.6. So I wrote down 46 to try, but I agree with him. 40.4, go right in between them. That way I'm right in the middle and should be good. Both were, I think, around ½ inch or maybe even under ½ inch. Oh, did I write it down? Oh, let's see here. Yeah, 40.3 ended up being a 4.03 MOA, so under ½ inch. And 40.6 ended up being a 0.410. So both under ½ inch no, sorry, not ½ inch. Yeah, so just under half. So yeah, 40.3 was 0.403 MOA and 40.6 was 0.410 MOA. One had a standard deviation of 13.44, and then 40.6 was a standard deviation of 7.51, and ES of 19 and an ES of 13. So I'm going to go smack dab in the middle of them, 40.4, start a seating depth test there, and I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to pick 41.2 grains, because that was that really good extreme spread and standard deviation, and the group was good too. 0.5516 or 516. So right at basically half MOA. So yeah, we're going to do that. I'm going to do my usual. So on the 40.4, we're going to go from touching to 35 thousandths off the lands. And I'd like to go to 50 thousandths off the lands, but I want enough bullets left over to be able to load up a bunch of 5-shot groups on our final load. So I can't use up all the bullets for that. So yeah, we're going to do 40.4 is going to go from touching to 35 thousandths off the lands, and 40.2 grains is going to go from touching to 40 thousandths off the lands. And honestly, I may take that last one off and just do 35 thousandths off the lands, touching to 35 on that one as well. Keep it the same. That way I save a few more extra bullets for our final load. And yeah, we're gonna do that. So I usually, like I said, I usually don't do 2 sessions of seating depth tests, but we're gonna do one this one, because there were so many good, I mean, just all over the place on this one. I didn't shoot a single group over 1 inch, and there was only a couple over ½ inch in the powder test. Our biggest group in our powder test was 0.847 was our biggest group. Next was 0.736, and next was 0.690. And everything else, other than those three, was pretty much ½ inch. There's a couple just over half inch at point, like I said, the 0.516 and oh, there is a 0.616 as well, but that's basically half inch pretty much. So yeah, like I said, that whole powder test we did there was perfect. A lot of good groups there, a lot of good you know, stuff to choose from. So that's what I figured we'll do. I'm going to go with what the commenters said and do 40.4 instead of 40.6. And as you guys know, that's a recurring theme. 40.6 has been pretty much a go-to powder load for anything around 40 grains to 42 grains. We did a, yeah, I can't remember. We've done the Barnes, Match Burner, and all that. All the 40 grainers have been right around 40.6 grains of H4350. So yeah. So we'll do 40.4. So this first session, we'll probably do the 40.4. I'm not going to shoot them all at once. We'll load up the 40.4 first. And then we'll come back up to the bench there and reload the 41.2s. And we'll go from there. So that's our loads. For this session, that's our load, is 40.4 grains from touching to minus 35 off the lens. So that's what we're going to do in this session. Let's see here. Let me get, and the case prep is almost done. We got, I didn't want to make this an extremely long video, so I figured I wouldn't bore you with a lot of the case prep. So right now we need to basically, they're all resized, annealed, neck resized as well. Body resized, neck resized, and you know, all annealed and everything, and trimmed to length. So now all we need is a good chamfer and deburr. We need the primer pockets cleaned out, and then we'll be pretty much ready for primer, powder, and bullet. So you guys know the routine. Primer pocket. Just get your little primer pocket tool out and give her a little spin. Honestly, you really can't mess that part up for any new reloaders that are watching. You know, the cutter, this really isn't a cutter on these. Now, if you're taking out a military crimp, now that's a cutter on that one, and you want to be a little careful. You really can't take too much, even with a military crimp remover. You basically just spin it until it stops shaving, you know, the crimp off, and you'll start free spinning, and then you're done, you know, you're done removing the crimp. So, but with a primer pocket, it's even less of a cutter. It's not a cutter at all. It's just basically scraping the carbon out of the pocket there. So yeah, basically just bear down on it a little bit and give it a few spins, tap it, maybe put it back in, another couple more spins, and you're good. That is a clean primer pocket. Alright guys, I'm gonna get through these and then I'll show you guys a quick chamfer and deburr, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, let's give these guys a quick chamfer and deburr. I got them all, like I said, they're all pretty much ready to go. I got them all trimmed to 1.920, and yeah, they look real good. I'm only going to need, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, so the last 2 rows here, we'll save those ones for the next set of seating depth tests. And like I told you guys, these are on the 8th firing. We'll be heading to 9. So let's get this going here. Just give it a quick little 2 little turns. I said don't take much. Don't sit there and spin it. You know, if you just got done trimming it, it's a nice flat face, then maybe 3 or 4 turns. But I'll tell you, I know, especially like with this cutter, if you got a dull cutter, maybe you got to do more. But if I go more than 3 turns with a freshly trimmed piece of brass, then it's actually a sharp edge on this brass. I could actually spin it and cut my finger. You don't want that. You don't want a complete sharp edge. You're just looking for, you know, slight chamfer, and you're good to go. That's all you're really looking for. So a couple spins. So 1, 2 on the inside. Outside isn't as bad. I noticed the inside cutter always cuts more, you know, than the outside. So outside you can do 3 or 4 spins, don't matter really. But that inside cutter, especially this VLD cutter right here, oh man, it cuts. It cuts ridiculously good. Couple spins on the inside, couple spins on the outside. Oh, yeah, I'm probably not going to brush them this time because this brush is actually pretty short. I actually haven't been brushing the necks the last few times, so I usually will brush the necks 3 times just to get any carbon in the neck or any metal shavings that's just hanging off the edge. So yeah, that's it. Let me do a couple more for you. Couple spins. And that just also, if you have any like nicks or whatever, it just kind of straightens out and makes it so bullet seating is a little bit better for you. It's all chamfering and deburring really is doing for you. Allows that that bullet to seat in there really nice, and you don't really mess up your easier seating forces for your bullet, and just a better overall seating experience. Alright guys, we'll see you in the next step, which is some priming. Alright guys, let's get these bad boys all primed up. As you guys know, this is another easy, you know, really don't need to explain step, but basically just put your eye prime on the press. Like like I've said to you a bunch of times, I like priming on the press. It's nice. Eventually, I'm thinking about getting a hand primer to check them out, see what all the hoopla's about. You know, see what the primers are capable, the hand primers are capable of, and how they work. So, but yeah, I like priming on the press. It works good. I get good feel for it, so I like it. So yeah, you just basically put primer in the little cup here, little cup in the middle. Put your case in there, and you're priming on the downstroke. And after that, take your finger, make sure it's just below flush, and you are good to go. I'll show you a couple of them. And as long as you clean those primer pockets out really nice, they should seat really good. Now, one thing, so basically the things you need to worry about with priming is if you got military crimped primers, obviously that's going to make it a pain in the ass to prime. So you got to remove them. The other thing is worn out brass. You'll start feeling, you know, I'm on the 9th time, and these are actually feeling really good. I can tell they are starting to stretch the primer pockets, because these were tight primer pockets to begin with, these SIGs, and I liked it. It was nice. There was a few that were a little too tight, but it was really nice. And I think that's why they've lasted this long as well, because they had nice tight primer pockets. Sometimes you can get brass that has pretty loose primer pockets right from the start, so you're just not going to get as many firings out of them. But yeah, that's one thing to worry about, is once brass gets through, you know, a bunch of firings, primer pockets loosen up, you know, as you fire through them. And yeah, eventually you'll feel it in the, you know, in the handle or however you're priming, you'll feel it. But I still have to put decent amount of force on these, and it's nice. But I can tell from when they were new, these SIG the SIG brass, from when it was new, I had to push in pretty hard when these were brand new. Some of them I even had to hold down on the table and, you know, push in. Like I said, some of them were pretty damn tight. But I like that. I would rather have them, you know, tight like that instead of a little bit loose, because if they're loose in any way, then you're just not gonna get the life you would. See, that one needs to be, yeah, perfect. That one didn't seat correctly the very first time, so you just put it back in and go through again. Yep, they all feel really good. And make sure you're right below flush. Rub your finger over it and you're good. One last thing to worry about is wherever you're priming, don't stick your face over. So let me see here real quick. So next cartridge will be here, and I'd be priming. Make sure your face isn't over, you know, the top of the press, because if the primer does detonate, it's going to go up that case. And if you guys haven't seen what just a primer can do to skin, or, you know, whatever, look it up. It's just a primer itself can burn you and hurt you pretty bad. So yeah, that's priming. Next step is going to be some powder. We'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, I wanted to run over components with you real quick as well. Same as usual. That's why I didn't really go through them right at the beginning of the video. But I'm sure you guys still want to know. I'll always tell you if I'm changing up completely anyways. But same as usual for 6.5 Creedmoor, H4350. Got to break into my new bottle, that's almost empty. And CCI Magnum primers, large rifle Magnum primers, CCI 250s. And you guys know the bullet, because we're doing load development for it. 142 grain SMK. So yeah, and SIG brass. 8 times fired SIG brass. Going on to 9 times after this one. Alright guys, see you in the next step. Alright guys, looks like you guys can see everything. Alright, we're on the next step now, which is going to be powder. Got everything all primed up. Cases are all done. So yeah, we are on the next step, which is powder time. So, like I showed you guys before, how I do powder is I use my more reliable balance beams. And then just double check it with these Frankfurt Arsenal, which actually these are, I'll tell you, I have had these set of electronic scales since day one. Since just starting, this was part of my first kit that I didn't buy a kit, but I mean, I bought my own, you know, first few pieces to start reloading, which was, like I showed you guys, that hand Lee loader press, this scale. There was a couple more parts to that kit I bought as well. But basically, when I started reloading, that's basically what I started with like 4 or 5 pieces of kit, which included, yeah, like this Frankfurt Arsenal scale, a press, you know, not including obviously powder and primers and all that, but bought my dies, you know. So yeah, this Frankfurt Arsenal scale has worked incredible. I mean, it is spot on. I've been reloading for over 10 years now. Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything, I can't say enough good things about this Frankfurt Arsenal scale. I've been very impressed with it. It suffers, like I said to you guys before, it suffers the same thing that a lot of other digital, or pretty much all other digital scales do. You just can't trickle up from 0. That's it. Other than that, this thing is spot on weighing. I can go weeks without calibrating it, and it's still spot on. It trickles up pretty well. It does amazing. And it's only off by about 1/10 of a grain from balance beams. So that's pretty damn good. Alright, so I am looking for 40.4. We're going to do this one, and then we'll load up the next, after we shoot those ones. After we shoot these ones, we'll load up the 41.2s. And the only reason why I'm doing the 41.2s is because that was the best standard deviation extreme spread out of the last groups, and that really just shows that it was a good, hand load. That's basically all that was. It wasn't the best group, but it was the best consistent hand load. So, alright, so we're getting started with powder here. I think I have everything in frame for you guys. Yeah, you can see the scale, I think. Yeah. Alright, scale. You can't see the balance beams, but that's fine. You guys can see the... So, it's going to read... I'm going for 40.4. It's going to read probably, most likely, 40.5 on these digitals. And the balance beams, that reads 40.4. So, it's about 1/10 off, and that's good. That's not bad. And can you guys see me charge the case? I'm only going to show you guys a couple. Yeah, okay. So you guys can see everything. All right, let's get the show on the road. I'll show you a couple. This is meant to be a quicker reloading video. I have a hard time. I don't know how Johnny does it and frickin' everybody else. I don't know how he gets reloading and shooting in the same video under 30 minutes. It's frickin' impossible. It's so impossible. I guess I talk too long half the time. Alright, so yeah, 40.5. That's what we're looking for on the electronics. So, good to go. Let's charge our first case. Alright, looks good. I'm going to show you guys one more. No sense in... that's one thing I noticed, is I just end up getting caught up in showing you guys too many. I know some people don't mind, really long format, and I'm one of them. Like, I'll watch Johnny's reloading bench. He's got some that are like two hours, and I'll watch those straight through. I don't care. I just love it. I love it, but... the way our society is nowadays, if it's not freaking 20 minutes, they are, 20 minutes is too long for a lot of people. So, and I realize that, so I'm trying to keep it down as much as I can. That way I can, kind of appease both audiences. The people who like longer ones, I definitely have plenty of longer ones, and most of mine are going to be longer. Most of mine are going to be around 40 minutes. Like I said, if I add the shooting and reloading together, I have a hard time keeping it under an hour, but I can do it. I got it down pat to around 40-50 minutes. Alright, that looks about right. Actually, it looks a tad heavy. just a little bit heavy. 40.6 and 40.5. Yeah, I mean, legit with these Frankfurt Arsenal scales, I have I have legitly only put. I think I've changed the battery twice in 10 years. They are just, it's a very, very good scale. They're very accurate, very repetitive. Every now and then you'll get a little bit of a weight on trickling. You know, it won't flip to that next number, but it's pretty responsive. All right, yeah, and our next step's going to be some bullet seating. It should go pretty quick because all these ogives on these SMKs are good. They're pretty uniform. Any new reloaders out there, if you're having trouble with your OALs being completely like random, measuring base to ogive with the Hornady comparator, bullet comparator, that's most likely why. Either your primer is sticking out the back of the protruding out of the back of the case, or your ogive is off on that bullet. Alright guys, we will move on to some bullet seating. See you guys in a minute. Alright guys, we're on the next step. We gotta seat these bullets. So basically my first step is just getting your comparator in there, bullet comparator, and you, from there on, just gotta zero out your calipers. Get them zeroed, and then you're good to go. Now, I recommend for especially some of you new reloaders, definitely do stuff repetitively. So if you, like, for me, I'm gonna start off with touching the lands and go down, or go away from the lands. So that way, like, I recommend writing it down as well, but that way if you don't write it down, you know how your own brain works, basically. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to start off with touching the lands, which is 2.267. Yep, it's 2.267. So get your seating die in the press. Back out your seating stem all the way. Get your calipers all ready, and you're good to go. So run up the first bullet. Make sure it's not seating it really deep, because then you may overshoot your number, which I've done millions of times, and I'm sure you will too. And then just, okay, so it did seat it a little bit, but not too much. So let me bring it down, screw it in just a little bit, and then take that measurement. Alright, so looking for 2.267. I am a long ways off. 2.406. So let's give that thing a few cranks. Still got a lot of oil up in my, or lube up in my die. Alright, so we're at 2.406. Let's give it a full turn. One full turn got me 2.338. So let's do half turn. .306. So we're getting there. I'm looking for 0.267. So let's do. Oh, is that marking the bullet? Oh no, it's putting a little ring, but no indent. So, alright, so we did a half turn last time. Let's start going a little bit less. There's quarter turn. I probably could have done a half turn on that one, but nope. So 2.284. Alright, so let's start going even less. There's about an eighth turn there. .275. So we are looking for 2.267. So 75, 76, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 70, 69, 68. Let's go there. That should be close. 2.265, so I overshot it by about 2 thousandths, a little less than 2 thousandths, a thousandth and a half, so that's pretty good. Not a big deal. You just don't want to overshoot it by much more than 2 thousandths. Alright, so I'm going to back out just a hair, go to the next bullet. .266, so that's good. I'm going to back out just a hair more. That should be 267 right there. And even though they're a tad off, these 3 bullets are only a thousandth and a half difference between each other, so that's minuscule. Minuscule amount. Yeah, there we go. 2.267. Right on the money. Alright, so now you need to remember your first row towards you is touching, or whatever you're going to be doing. That way when you get out to the shooting range, you know how to shoot them. Now you can shoot them either way, from touching all the way, away from the lands, or you can start off away from the lands going up to touching. There isn't going to be a big difference. The only way I would say I would prefer one over the other is if you are right up against max powder charge, then you would probably want to start away from the lands and then move up towards the lands. But if you're at a safe powder charge, or really safe powder charge, and you're not up close to pressure signs, then it don't matter. Touching the lands or jamming the lands, it don't really matter. But yeah, if you're right up against pressure signs, then yeah, I would start away from the lands, work your way up. That way you're good to go. All right, so that's it. I don't crimp, like I've told you guys, for my BR gun, my bench rust gun. I don't crimp. Most of my bolt guns, period, I don't really crimp the cases for. So yeah, we're looking good. Alright guys, if anything else happens, I'll turn on the camera, if anything else interesting happens at least, and we will go from there. Alright guys, if you guys could, hit that like button, and if you like what we're doing here, hit the subscribe button too. I'd appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one.